My dear student, hello. I am Professor Devashish Bose, Head, Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. Today, I am going to present a lecture of BSc first semester on the unit Introduction to Forensic Science with the topic Police Organization Part 1, which has been jointly prepared by myself and Mr. Rajendra Prasad Pawar, PhD scholar, a UGC SRF at Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. So let's start our discussion while taking a look at what we are going to learn today. Today in Module 1 we will see Introduction to Police Science. Module 2 will be History of Police. Module 3 What is the need of police. Module 4 Function of police. Module 5 Role of police in our society. And finally Module 6 will be our conclusion. So let's start with the Module 1, that is in all societies, organizations were established to protect the life and liberties of people since the dawn of civilization. With the passage of time, complexities in the nature of societies have led to the creation of modern police. In the European context, the term police refers to the force for the city, and with reference to India, police officers were known as Nagarpal, which means protector of the city, and governance based on dharma and danda. Danda Niti was an important ingredient of statecrafts. Manu talked about the prevention and detection of crime and also a system of collecting intelligence during the Vedic period. Vedas refer to different kind of crimes and punishment for the criminals. During the Mauryan and Gupta period, policing was undertaken systematically. Kautilya's Arthashastra gives a vivid picture of the nature of police organization and their functions. During Mughal period, law and order administration was under the charge of Fauzdars. They were assisted by Thanedars who were in charge of police station. He was also responsible for revenue functions. The office of the Kotwal was fairly important as he was the chief of the city police. His function included patrolling the city at night, collection of intelligence, prevention of crime and social abuse, and regulation of jails. Now, during the British period, the police system that existed under the Mughals was allowed to continue with certain reforms to meet the changing needs. The present Indian police system is based on the Police Act of 1861. Under this act, the police was made subordinate to the executive government. Later, several changes were brought about in the structure as well as functioning of the police system. But the basic structure and characteristics as enriched by the Police Act of 1861 continued to dominate over the police system in this country. By the time India attained independence, that was in the year 1947, the police administration has developed into one of the best systems. After independence, the government of India felt that the system was capable of facing new challenge and was also well developed to help the new government to maintain stability. According to Article 246 of the Indian Constitution and Section 3 of the Indian Police Act, the police force is a state subject and not dealt with a central level. Each state government has the responsibility to draw guidelines, rules, and their regulation for their respective police force. These regulations are found in the State Police Manual. A state is divided into administrative police unit. Highest in the hierarchy is the Director General of Police, who is the head of the state police force and is responsible for administration in the police and advising the government on police issue. With the Director General of Police as highest responsible for the state police force, the state is further divided into several zones, ranges and districts. Further, the districts are separated into subdivisions, circles and police station. Each police station is responsible for a particular area, which are then divided into beats and assign person into it. The structure of police force can vary slightly from state to state due to organizational and administrative convenience and depending on its area and population. Nevertheless, the structure is overall strictly hierarchical and the decision-making power is centralized with a few higher rank of the police officer. So, my dear student, you have known that history of police begins from the era before our independence. Now, we are following the well-established law laid down by the British people with certain modifications. In every phase of history of India, the rulers developed and used the agency, which at present is universally known as the police, in accordance with their needs and circumstances. For the sake of convenience, we may divide the whole process of evolution of the police into three phases, that is, ancient, medieval and the modern. Ancient India as a law enforcing agency ensuring order. The origin of the police in India can be traced to the earliest Vedic period of Indian history. Can you believe this? The two Vedas, that is the Rig Veda and the Atharva Veda, eloquently mentioned about certain kind of crime and punishment known to Vedic India. The kings in ancient India had their own network of secret intelligence and tried to remain well informed about the nature and incidences of crime and the award of adequate and proportionate punishment to the criminals. We have detailed accounts of police organization and police activities during the Mauryan and the Gupta period. There was no independent police department with exclusive functions of detection and control of crimes, but there exist several agencies pursuing a coordinated policy for the maintenance of law and order in the society. This you might have seen in the epics. Kautilya has recorded full development of police in his Arthashastra yielding system, information about investigation, patterns of crime, punishment, etc. The Arthashastra mentioned that the policing during ancient India was divided into two wings, namely the regular police and the secret police. The regular police consisted of three tiers of officials: the Pradeshta, that is rural, or the Nagaraka, that is the urban, at the top, the rural or the urban Sansthanikas in the middle, and the rural and urban Gopas are at the bottom. In the course of his description of the Pradeshtas or duties, Kautilya tells how an inquest was held in a case of sudden death. This involved a post-mortem examination of the body as well as thorough police investigation. And Manu Smriti mentions about the art of secret intelligence prevalent in ancient period for the prevention and detection of crime. The instructions prescribed for the king to detect offences with the help of soldiers and spies in Manu Smriti and mention of informants and investigating officer in Katyayana Smriti also suggest that an agency like modern police existed during that period to assist the king in his administration of justice. The police stations of today originate from the ancient Sthanikas. Manu recommended that police stations or maybe the police pickets should be established, one being intended for 2, 3, 5 or several of collection of villages. A person who was appointed by the king to detect commission of offence was called Suchaka, that is investigating officer. The special responsibility of the king in the matter of controlling crimes, detection of crimes and punishing the offenders has been stressed in Manu Smriti. According to it, persons who commit offence or who conspire to commit offence are generally found in assembly houses, hotels, brothels, gambling houses, etc. And therefore, the king must post soldiers and spies for patrolling such places and in order to keep away thieves and antisocial elements. It also permits the king to appoint reformed thieves who were formerly associated with such doubtful elements and through them detect and punish the offenders. During the Gupta period, the police officers were known as Chauradhanarika, as their principal preoccupation was catching the thieves. Some of the important principles pertaining to the police development during ancient India are as under. The information of complainant about the offence committed by any individual could be made by any citizen and not necessary by the person injured or his relative. The person who on his own accord detected commission of offence and reported to the king was known as Stobhaka, that is, informant. He was entitled to remuneration from the king for giving first information. Perjury, that is, the act of giving false evidence, was considered a serious offence, and therefore punishment was prescribed for it also. The entire wealth of the person who cited a false witness out of greed would be confiscated by the king, and in addition he would be externed. Failure of duty towards society was taken very seriously. So any person who failed to render assistance according to his ability in the prevention of crime would be banished with his goods and chattel. Double punishment was prescribed for those who fall to give assistance to one calling for help through they happen to be on the spot, or who run away after being approached for help. Right of self-defense existed during ancient India also. A person could slay without hesitation an assassin who approached him with murderous intent or criminal intent. By killing an assassin, the slayers committed no offence. A person had a right to oppose and kill another not only in self-defense but also in defense of a woman or a weak person who were not in a position to defend themselves against a murderous or violent attack. Offences and misconduct conducted by police officers, jail superintendents, and other public servants were taken very seriously and severe punishment were prescribed. Medieval India. Though a few Hindu kingdoms existed during the medieval period, the country was mostly dominated by the Mughal rulers. The king, who was known as Sultan or Emperor, was assisted by his minister. The rulers during the medieval period emphasized the importance of administration of criminal justice and introduced reforms to improve the judicial machinery. The Kotwals were the key police officers in those times. So, the normal duties of the Kotwal and his men included patrolling the thoroughfares at night, guarding vantage points, maintenance of records of all arrivals and departure of strangers, and other routine functions. The Kotwal was a very powerful man who had to be present at all royal darbars. He acted as the chief of the city police, as a magistrate and as a municipal officer. His major police functions were to arrange the watch and ward of street, to post men at places of public gathering, to look out for pickpocketers and mischievous elements, to control distillation and sale of liquor, to look after prison, and also to execute royal sentence. The Shikadars, who had up till now power corresponding to those of Kotwals, were given magisterial powers within the Parganas. Police regulations were drawn up for the first time in India. During the Muslim rules in India, the policing of the cities and towns were entrusted to Kotwals and of the countryside to the Faujdars. Judiciary and police were placed under the Chief Sardar and Chief Qazi, both offices being held usually by the same person. The Mughals had established the Kotwali system in the cities and the Chaukidari system in the villages. The institution of Kotwal came to an end with the crushing of the 1857, the First War of Freedom against the British. The last Kotwal of Delhi was appointed just before the first War of Freedom by Mr. Gangadhar Nehru, the grandfather of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, modern India. When the East India Company took over the reins of administration from the Mughals, the law and order situation in the empire was at a very low ebb. They retained the village system but relieved the zamindar of their liability for policing duties. They quite laboriously and indigenously built over a period of time the superstructure of modern police without much disturbing the indigenous police system. The police as it exists today took its actual shape during the British period only. The British rulers in India took a detailed review of the existing criminal justice system, of which the police was an essential component. Sir Warren Hastings could observe the defects and inequalities of the existing system of criminal law and the machinery of criminal justice. Lord Cornwallis was the first British administrator who tried to improve the police system. He appointed a superintendent of police for Calcutta in the year 1791 and thereafter extended the efforts to the Mofusils. He took police powers out of the hands of the zamindars of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa and ordered in 1793 the district judge to open a police station for every 400 square miles and to place a regular police station officer over it. The officer was known as the Daroga. The Kotwal continues to be in charge of the police in the town. The Daroga system introduced by Cornwallis was designed to represent the might of the government in the rural areas where the zamindars were previously exercising police powers. Lord Cornwallis in 1792 introduced a uniform pattern for the first time, abolished the zamindari and thanedari system and organized a separate police force under a district magistrate in Bengal. The districts were now divided into police station, jurisdiction and the Daroga was appointed by the government in each of these police stations with an establishment including a moher, a zamadar and 10 burkandars. The district collectors, in addition to their revenue duties, were made the administrative head of the police. Organization, an arrangement which still continues to prevail in India except in the areas for which commissionaries of police are appointed. In the year 1808, the government introduced special and expert control over police administration through a new chief, now to be designated as Superintendent of Police for the division of Calcutta, Dhaka and Murshidabad in Bengal. The leading characteristic features of the model were three, namely, every district was under a superintendent of police who, while generally subordinate to the district magistrate, was to have the exclusive control over the police establishment in his district. Every tehsil was to have a native police officer and the supreme control over police administration of the province, which was formerly exercised by the Faujdari Adalat, was now to be transferred to the government of that province. All these major reforms of the major provinces of the country in the pre-mutiny period laid down the foundation of the police organization, which later to forge an identity of its own and grow in stature after the termination of the company's rule on Indian soil. The revolt of 1857 drew the attention of the government of India to the urgency of police reorganization. Accordingly, a commission was appointed in the year 1860 to study exhaustively the police needs of the government. Its main recommendations were embodied in the Police Act of 1861. The aim enshrined in the Act were to reorganize the police and to make it more efficient instrument for the prevention and detection of crime. This Act is still in force in India. Police Commission of 1902 to 1903. The appointment of the Second Police Commission was another significant step taken by the British for developing the police system of India. The main recommendation of the commissioner were generally adopted. the police system modified and improved on the basis of recommendation of the Police Commission of 1902-3. Continued when the British left India on 15th August 1947 when India gained independence. On being independent, India inherited a well-defined police system mainly developed during the British period. But the situation changed after the Constitution of India came into force, as protection of the fundamental rights of the people became one of the most important functions of the police. Obviously, a significant change in the attitude and style of functioning of police was urgently needed. In order to bring about improvement in the policing system, many states appointed State Police Commission, enacted State Police Acts and compiled police manuals. A National Police Commission was appointed in the year 1977 under the chairmanship of Mr. Dharmavira, the former governor. The commission studied extensively various aspects and functions of the Indian police and brought out 8 reports. The recommendations of the commission have not yet been implemented in toto. However, despite all these efforts, the police system in India continues to be based on the Police Act of 1861 and the recommendation of the Police Commission of 1902 without significant changes. Police services or police personnel are basically needed for maintaining law and order, riot control, crime investigation, response to emergencies, accident, etc., VIP protection and safeguard of women, particularly in public and workplaces, safety of property from illegal grabbing, fraud and economic offence, enforcement of civil laws relating to encroachment, pollution and public nuisance, service-oriented security and law and order arrangement at public places, congestion such as railway station, airports, stadiums, cinema halls, malls or shopping areas, control of terrorist activity and public violence, traffic management for safe and quick travel and commute, free and fair election, limit land and property dispute by quick and correct intervention to remove ambiguity of titles, efficient handling of permission or license applications, efficient grievance readdressal cell. The function of the police is general are to uphold and enforce the law impartially and to protect life, liberty, property, human right and dignity of the members of the public. It is also used to promote and preserve public order, to protect internal security, to prevent and control terrorist activities, breaches of communal harmony, militant activities and other situations affecting internal security, to protect public properties including roads, railways, bridges, vital installation and establishments, etc. against act of vandalism, violence or any kind of attack, to prevent crime and reduce the opportunities for the commission of crimes through their own preventive action and measures, as well as by aiding and cooperating with other relevant agencies in implementing due measures for the prevention of crime. To accurately register all complaints brought to them by a complainant or his representative in person or received by other means and take prompt follow-up action thereon after due acknowledging the receipt of the complaint. To register and investigate all cognizable offences coming to their notice through such complainants or otherwise, duly supplying a copy of the first information report to the complainant and where appropriate to apprehend offenders and extend requisite assistance in the prosecution of offender. To create and maintain a feeling of security in the community and as far as possible prevent conflicts, to provide as first responder all possible help to people in situations arising out of natural or man-made disaster and to provide active assistance in agencies providing relief. To aid individuals who are in danger of physical harm either particularly to them or to their loved one or to their property, to facilitate orderly movement of people and vehicles, and to control and regulate traffics on road and highways, to collect intelligence related to matters affecting public peace and all kind of crimes including social offence, communalism, extremism, terrorism, Naxalism and other matters related to national security. To take charge as a police officer on duty of all unclaimed property and take action for their safe custody and disposal in accordance with the procedure prescribed. To train, motivate and ensure welfare of police personnel, maintenance of essential service when the state government declares an specified service to be an essential service to the community. It shall be the duty of the police to maintain the essential services, and every police officer must obey any order given by any officer superior to him in connection with the service is specified in the declaration by the government. The policeman and the police system plays important role in prevention of crime and maintenance of public order. According to 1861 Act preventing commission of offence and public nuisance, bring offenders to justice, collect information affecting public peace and keep order in all public places, keeping in view the changing political and social scenario. UN Congress Prevention of Crime held in 1970 identified urbanization, industrialization, population growth, internal migration, social mobility and technological changes as the criminogenic factors. Communal tension and other social tension are also the cause of crime, due to which public order gets disturbed and violence break out. The main task of police is to enforce law and order, protect the citizen and safeguard their property. The police have to play a positive role in the scheme of social defense. It can no longer take a restrictive view of their role. In a democratic society like us, the role of police is linked to social service. It is an important area where police has been assigned a positive role in relation of social legislation. These legislation touch upon the lives of the people at countless number of places. This provides various opportunities to serve the people and proves to be a challenge as well. In the changing political context, the police have to function as officers of law rather than an officers of the government or the party in power. According to the National Police Commission set up by the Government of India in the year 1977, the duties and responsibility of the police are to promote and preserve public order, investigate crime, identify problems and situations likely to result in commission of crime, reduce the opportunities for the commission of crime through preventive patrol and other appropriate policing measures, aid and cooperate with other relevant agencies in implementing appropriate measures for the prevention of crime, aid individuals who are in dangers of physical harm, create and maintain a feeling of security in the community, facilitate orderly movement of people and vehicle, counsel and resolve conflicts and promote amity, provide other appropriate service and afford relief to public or people in distress situation, and collect intelligence related to matters affecting public peace and crime including social and economic offence and national integrity and security. As civilization advances and democracy takes its root, the law of land also changes. Instead of individual fancies, the people or their chosen representative based law making on participation, personalized law are replaced by public laws. In interdependence with other wings of criminal justice system such as judiciary and prosecution, and its interface with various sections and groups in the society have far-reaching implications for the functionary. So, with this, we end Module 5, and I hope you had understand the role of policing and how it evolved in our country from the Vedic period to the modern day policing. The police system which we see today has its root in the very foundation of the state, and passing through various phases of history, it has evolved to its present status as a specialized agency without which, even in a democracy, the rulers cannot imagine to run the state. Apart from these all perspectives, there should be implementations in the current police system, like specialization should be encouraged to deal with special crimes and situations. For example, quick reaction team or rapid action teams of police officers should be trained as paramedics, life-saving techniques, swimming, etc. Teams should be trained as commandos for assault, protection and basic handling of explosive. Adaptation of force, multipliers and investigation support system. Example, electronic surveillance, non-intrusive monitoring of calls and transactions, and access control mechanisms such as retina identification, voice mapping, etc. should be implemented. Evolving systems of efficient media handling and using media to educate the public on the role of police in the criminal injustice system. A comprehensive 5 to 10 year plan for utilization of modernization budget to upgrade police efficiency in consonance with projected professional requirements and popular expectation. Revamp of system of training, motivation and accountability at all level of police force. At present, mediocrity and success in avoiding controversial situation assures career progression while on the problems. Effective corruption the call to in all information here. I will be some more interesting lecture in this series. Till then, goodbye. And if you want to enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website at www.cec.nic.in for MCQs, quizzes and LORs. So thank you for paying attention for this interesting lecture.